Thank you, Zanfa, for your inputs, and thank you, Husnain, for your insights. हमारे जो पार्टिसिपेंट्स जिन्होंने अभी हमें ज्वाइन किया है उनके लिए कि अगर आपका कोई क्वेश्चन है तो प्लीज क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन में अपना क्वेश्चन जो है वो पुट कीजिएगा, हम उनको इन द एंड ऑफ सेशन लेंगे, ठीक है जी। उसके बाद फुलब्राइट एप्लीकेशन के मुख्तलिफ पिलर्स हैं, उनमें से एक पिलर जो है वो आपके लिए कि आपने जीआरई और टॉफल को पास करना है। I would request Dr. Zanfar to switch off his screen, and I would like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Ali Husnain. Dr. Ali Husnain faculty member हैं UVAS में in the Department of Theriogenology और अभी PhD कर रहे हैं University of Florida से, और इनका area of interest जो है वो animal reproduction है। डॉक्टर अली हसनैन ने अपना DVM सिवास जंग से किया है।
Yes, thank you so much, Farooq. Or luckily we are class fellow as well. So it's my pleasure to share few thoughts with the people who are willing to apply for the Fulbright. And I will continue with the two aspects they are required at the time of application, usually GRE and TOEFL. And before going into the discussion, I would like to give you few insight regarding this notice. So perhaps majority of people have seen this notice, but I would highlight few points. So the date is 15 July, which is the last date. You still have time, perhaps 11 days, but don't too late before this, otherwise you would not be able to apply. And the second aspect with this notice is your application would be accepted without GRE score. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that you are not required to report GRE. You have to have that because this is admission requirement. But at the time of application, they just waive this aspect. So you don't need to give the GRE at this point. But at some point later, when you would be selected, you have to have GRE and the TOEFL as well. And the second point that I would like to highlight is CGPA requirements. So there are two main 3.5 CGPA requirement and 3 CGPA requirement. So what does it mean, and do we consider it for applying Fulbright? So my answer would be yes. So the 3.5 CGPA is majority for those STEM technologies like engineering technologies, business, MBA. So when you are applying for those programs, so you have to have 3.5 CGPA. Otherwise, like in our program, our scenario, like in veterinary science or agriculture, minimum CGPA requirement is 3. But keep in mind, when I am a veterinarian, but I would like to work in sensor technology, like heat detection, sensors. So this will fall in technology. So then you have to have a 3.5 CGPA. So keep in mind when you are choosing your program for application in the Fulbright. And next to it, then I would like, what is considered when a good Fulbright application? So the first thing, you have to have a very excellent academic background. That is the number one priority. So keep in mind when you are applying for the Fulbright, so you all of your transcript should be attested. But keep in mind at this time, application, the attestation is not mandatory. So you just scan your transcript and just attach in the online portal. And the second, you have to have a very strong personal statement. I think Dr. Yasser would highlight those points and the clear research objectives, what you would like to do that. And then you have to provide 3 reference letters. So the reference letter could be like one of your professional, like your employer, chairman of the department, if you are a faculty. So keep in mind, these are the important points for shortlisting you for the interview. So these 4 points, which I can think is important for interview, for the selection for the interview. And the fifth one, the commitment to return Pakistan, as just highlighted by Dr. Razanfar, that you have to provide a commitment to them that I would come back and serve Pakistan. So that's very important. When you apply for the Fulbright, you actually considered as an ambassador. When I am in the US, in my program, so I am ambassador of Pakistan. When I would go back, the US would expect that we would be ambassador of the US. So these are the important points I think should be highlighted at some point in the application. And then you have to have a very good communication skills, and these would help you in interview. And then the TOEFL and the good GRE score. Usually at the time of application, they say you have to have a minimum 138 verbal section and 136 in the quantitative section. And there is no minimum for analytical writing. But these two aspects, TOEFL and the good GRE score, which is required not required at the time of interview or for shortlisting, but this is important at the time of the university placement. Once you are selected, REE in US would take all of your application packet and they will send in 5 different universities which you selected for. Those are your preferences. So starting with the TOEFL. So what is a good TOEFL score? What is that TOEFL basically is? So TOEFL is basically a test of English as a foreign language, which is the internet-based test. And it usually so how we can register for this test? So just go to this link. This will take you to the ETS website. You can select your place, time, and schedule yourself for the online test. And what is the format? And keep in mind, this format is for, they have changed the format in 2019. So after that, they have a little bit differences in the format. So I will highlight those later. So you have, in the reading section, there are 30 points, the same listening, speaking, and writing. In total, there are 120 points. So why the TOEFL is required? So the TOEFL requirement is for the admission in the graduate program. So like I'm sorry, if I would like to apply for University of Florida, so then I am exempted for the TOEFL if I am seeking direct admission. But usually we apply through Fulbright program or the IEE. So they said, no, you have to provide a TOEFL score because some university required this score and some don't. But you have to provide that TOEFL score for the admission in the graduate program. So what is the reasonable score for the TOEFL? It actually depends on the university and the graduate program you are seeking or preference for the admission. So this is the important point that I would like to highlight. When you apply for when you send your application, usually they ask, give us the list of 5 universities. So choose your universities very carefully based upon the TOEFL requirement, based upon the GRE requirement, and above all, your interest. So usually this they would send your application to the 5 universities, but they would decide by themselves. They would not usually involve the participants or the Fulbrighter to choose within those 5. So carefully choose your university. So what is the best, this is just my personal opinion, usually 92 or above is a very good score. Usually when we apply for the animal science, dairy science, and the related veterinary sciences program in the US. So so I would highlight one by one each section of the TOEFL exam. First one is the reading section. So usually it comprises of 3 to 4 passages, and each passage would have 10 questions. And the total time is 54 if there are 3 and 3 passages, and if there are 4, then it is 72 minutes. So average time per question is 1 minute and 48 seconds. And usually how this appear in case of during the test. So usually you get your paragraph on the right side, and then you read. This is a highlighted portion is other. So they would ask the word other in the passage refer to which one of 4. So then you read carefully, and then you select your answer. So this is how the reading section would appear at the time of internet-based TOEFL. So this is just to highlight. So similarly, you would receive 3 to 4 passages, and there would be like 10 questions, 13 questions in each. Then is the listening section, same 13 scores, and then there would be a 3 to 4 lectures, and there would be a 2 or 3 conversation in each lecture, and there would be a 5 questions from each of the conversation, and there would be a total 41 to 57 minutes, and the average time for each question is 35 seconds, and this excludes the listening time. So usually they play some conversation between student and professor, between 2 colleagues, and between 2 professor, between 2 scientists, so something like that. After playing 2 or 3 minutes video, then or just audio, then they would ask question like, if there was a conversation between a woman and the professor, what does the woman go to see her professor? What was the objective basically they want to ask you? So then you select from the option they listed over there. So this would be like a usually listening session. So then would be a speaking session. The speaking session would comprise of 4 tasks. Before 2019, there were 6 tasks, but after changing format in 2019, there are 4 tasks now. And one is the independent speaking task. What is this independent speaking task mean? So they would give you a familiar topic, then you prepare for 15 seconds, and then you record your response within for 45 seconds. So I highlighted few of the link from the YouTube. So please go through those, and these would be important for your preparation point of view. And then there would be a 3 integrated speaking tasks. What this integrated speaking task mean? So they would give you some reading, then the same on the same aspect of the reading session, there would be some conversation. After reading and listening, they give you some time to summarize your opinion, and then you have to record your response. So that would be a 60-second for this task. Again, I would say go through the link in the YouTube. There are good videos about that. And total time is 17 minutes for this section. And then at the end, there would be a writing section. In the writing section, usually there are 2 tasks. The same one is the integrated essay. The integrated essay mean reading. In the reading passage, you can read it again. So I usually recommend make notes for that. And for the listening, carefully listen this, because it would appear once. Once it's gone, you cannot retake that, re-listen that conversation. So makes notes. That's a very key point here. So after reading and listening, there would be a time, then you prepare your outline. Either you counter the arguments that's in the reading and the listening, or you support the argument in the reading and listening, which is the task of this essay. Then you write, and there are the important points. What should you write and what you should not write? So I would advise go through the YouTube. You will get those tips for the writing. And then the second task would be independent essay. They would give you some a familiar topic, then you prepare. And the most important for those both of these tasks is the strong introduction, because the introduction is the all, I think. So when you have a strong introduction, then I think you got your marks, right? And then it would be 50 minutes total, 25 minutes each, I think. But it's an important a section of the TOEFL. So what are the resources? That would be another question usually asked by people, that where should we go to prepare ourselves. So this is the ETS website. Just go there, and there are certain practice tests. Either you buy e-books, so usually they give you some software, so where they have a 1 or 2 tests. So then you do practice and try to understand the format of the exam, and just make some write some tips. If this is the reading section and it is the writing section, if this is the independent essay writing, so make notes how you will plan yourself. So this is important, I think. So there are certain practice tests over there. You just highlight and then you can go through the practice tests. And again, at the end with the TOEFL, I would suggest, highly suggest that the YouTube is the best to understand the format and with the good tips. And I would highlight again, the format of the TOEFL is changed. So don't follow those videos. They are made before 2019. So because they would be with the old format. So follow the video with the new format. So this is important.